Hello there, my lovelies. This is Brady, and this week, it's not often that I'm able to really come up with a good theme for a week, but this week I consumed some things that definitely had some themes to it. So this week I'm going to give you very similar things. I'm going to give you a bunch of gratuitous violence and a bunch of video game music. Very similar. Let's get into it. Reviews versus the wild. Alright, so first let's go ahead and get a little bit into that whole, really fun element of gratuitous violence. Because, hey, it's a lot of fun, right? And this week, the first thing I want to bring up is Nobody. So, Nobody is a film that basically, have you seen John Wick? Do you know John Wick? Do you know who Bob Odenkirk is? Now, how would you feel about having Bob Odenkirk as John Wick? 'Cause that's really pretty much exactly what Nobody is. So Nobody tells us the tale of this guy who, at one point in time, he was, kind of a government fixer. A government auditor is what he calls it. The last person that you want to see on your doorstep, because it's the last person you're going to see. And it's Bob Odenkirk. And, he gave up that life years ago to, settle down, have a family, live that good suburban life. And then he's dragged back into it. And, yeah, it really is pretty much just John Wick. But it's still a lot of fun. It has some really fun action scenes to it. The whole last scene of the movie is more or less Home Alone for adults. Extremely, extremely bloody Home Alone. And it's a lot of fun. And the thing is, you would not expect Bob Odenkirk, of all people, to be able to fit this role, but he does. He does it masterfully. He does a great job. And I really enjoyed it. The plot isn't all that great, and there aren't quite enough good payoffs for a lot of the things that you see, but what is there? It's still a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Alright, now let's shift gears to talk a little bit more about, that other side of the spectrum that I was mentioning. Video game music. So first thing that I want to bring up is 8-bit music theory. Now, if you know me, you know that I adore music theory. I'm a piano teacher and a voice teacher on the side, and hey, I write all the music that you hear in these videos. So, you could say that I'm kind of an aficionado. And of course, I love me some video games. So you take music theory, you take video games, you combine it, and you start using them together effectively to show music theory through video game music. Of course, I'm going to be there. And I love it. The guy who runs 8-bit music theory definitely knows what he's talking about. And the thing that I really love about this channel is that he's able to explain these very complex pieces of music theory in a way that makes sense. And I really recommend it. This last week he released a video basically showing how you can do voicing. And who does he use to show good voicing? But Nobuo Uematsu, who, if you know him, he's the Final Fantasy music guy. And it's a great video, and every single one of his videos that I watch, I go, this is amazing, and it gives me ideas of things that I'm going to try out in some of my own compositions. So, 8-bit music theory, definitely. If you're anything like me, get into it. Alright, ready for some more gratuitous violence? Because, we're back to that now. And what can I say other than Invincible is great. So Invincible is a show. It's based on a comic. I believe it's an Image comic of the same name. And it really takes a lot of what you know about superheroes and plays around with it a little bit. think, kind of like The Boys, where you take this superhero world and you show that maybe they're not all cracked up, what they're cracked up to be. And you get a lot of that in Invincible, as you see these heroes in their everyday life, and it kind of focuses a lot more on that everyday life. And you see things aren't always as simple as it seems. At this point, they have done 7 episodes out of the 8-episode run for this first season, and really, if you can get caught up in time for the finale so you can be part of those discussions, I highly recommend it. The animation in this is so good. They do a great job with that. The voice talent there is awesome. Steven Yeun stars in it. You probably know him as Glenn from The Walking Dead, and he does an awesome job. And of course, you have Mr. J. Jonah Jameson himself, J.K. Simmons, playing Omni-Man, who is his dad. You have Sandra Oh, you have Jillian Jacobs, you have Zazie Beetz, you have tons of amazing actors in these roles, and they all nail it. This show's a lot of fun. It is very, 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 very violent. It is not for kids. It might be a cartoon, but it's not one that you want any of your children around as you watch it. But if you can get some alone time with it, you'll love it. So now let's get back over to the video game music side of things, because I want to tell you a little bit about 8-Bit Big Band. Now it's kind of interesting because the first music channel that I mentioned is 8-Bit Music Theory, and this is 8-Bit Big Band. You kind of see a little bit of a theme here. But what I will say about 8-Bit Big Band is, do you like Postmodern Jukebox? Those guys who take a lot of popular songs and then kind of retrofy them a little bit, make them in the style of, say, like 40s swing or, of a good Sinatra croon. Yeah, you basically have that sort of thing, but for video game music. And these musicians are amazing. Some of the people that they get to participate in these songs, wow, I am in awe of the music that you hear there. Now, I'm using some of their music right now as a background to this, and you can hear, oh yeah, you hear that bass? Ooh, that's good stuff. 8-Bit Big Band, if you are into video game music at all, just look through their catalog, because I'm sure that they have something that you would be interested in. And every arrangement is a banger. Hey, Warner Brothers. You remember what I said before, the last couple of times about your experiments that you've been doing of releasing things in theaters and HBO Max same day, and how it would be a lot cooler if you had a good movie? Well, you went and did it with Mortal Kombat. And how do I feel? It's okay. It is what it is. Surprisingly, somehow, it's actually worse than the 1995 cheesy, campy action film. But it's okay. Now, I will say that there are some things that this movie does very well. You can tell that one of the things that they wanted to do as they set out is they wanted to get those fatalities. And yeah, they get them. And they look great. They look awesome. They look just as bloody and gory as you could want. But you want to try to dig into the plot at all? Yeah. Not great. Not great. Of course, you're going to have some moments there that will tickle your nostalgia bone, especially if you are a Mortal Kombat fan, which, I am. I've always enjoyed the Mortal Kombat games. I think that they're great fun. It's a lot especially when they embrace the camp of just the general premise of Mortal Kombat, you can get a lot of fun out of stories there. And here you get a lot of that fan service. You want to hear, "Get over here!" It's going to happen. You want to hear, "Your soul is mine." Yeah, you kind of get it, but without the overacting campiness that made it what it is, so it just kind of falls flat. And, I'd say that right there is the biggest problem with this movie, is it tries to take itself way too seriously. It doesn't embrace the campy nature that it could have. And because of that, you still get a little bit of comedy in there. They have Kano, and Kano's whole job in this movie is to, throw in an F-bomb every other word and be the comic relief. And he's not really funny. I didn't connect with his humor at all. And when that's the only humor that you got going around the premise of Mortal Kombat, and you take everything else way too seriously, it's probably not going to be good. And this is not good. It just isn't. If you already have HBO Max, sure, give it a shot. But otherwise, go and watch the really, really crappy 1995 film instead. You'll be better off. And that's really it for this week. Once again, kind of two weird worlds that really kind of grasped me this week, with gratuitous violence and then 8-bit music. But now I guess you understand me a little bit better, because those are things that kind of appeal to me, I guess. Judge me if you want. But as long as you're judging me, might as well, like, subscribe, all that jazz. I'll see you next week.
Review!